John?
Mr. President, I'll remove this. I had a negative test this morning, so it should be good.
Good.
We've heard from a number of people over the last few weeks, Mr. President, as the numbers have started to go down, the number of deaths have started to go down, hospital capacity has increased, who say that the goal of mitigation was to ensure that the hospitals did not become overwhelmed. We appear, for the most part, to be at that point. So why not just reopen the country on a more rapid basis than we are now? What are your thoughts?
Well, we want them to reopen, John. The numbers are going down very substantially without question. I mean, very powerfully going down. You look at Florida, you look at Georgia, you look at many other states, the numbers are going down, and they've been open or very substantially open and pretty much completely open in some cases. And we want them to reopen. I mean, literally, I just got off the phone with CDC and I talked about churches. I said, I want the churches to open, and the people want the churches to open. And I think you'll have something come down very soon from CDC. We want to get our churches back. It's our country's coming back. We did the right thing. I think you'd agree. I think we would have had, well over 1 million, could have been 1.5 million to 2.5 million people dead. So we did the right thing. It would have been a horrible. Can you imagine if you saw what we have now and multiply that times 15 or 20 times? So we did the right thing, but we now want to get going. And we also learned a lot about the disease during this time. Nobody knew. We learned about the tremendous contagion and the problems. We learned a lot of very important facts. But now it's time for our country to open again. And I think you'll start with churches. I think you'll start with some other states that have been very resistant. You have a lot of, unfortunately, in this case, Democrat governors. I think they think it's good politics to keep it closed. But what are they doing? They're hurting themselves. I don't think it is good politics. They're hurting themselves. They're hurting their state. And it's not good. So I think you're going to see pretty much people are going to, I think they're being forced to open, frankly. The people want to get out. You'll break the country if you don't. And I think they look at it as a possible November question. It's not a November question. It happens to be very bad for them. So you're going to see that happening, I think, John. I think that your third quarter is going to be that transition quarter. We're almost there. It's going to be the transition quarter, and it's going to be really good. But the fourth quarter is going to be big, and next year is going to be a big year for this country.
How close are we to, in your words, breaking the country unless we start the reopening process more quickly?
Well, I think we're very close to opening up the rest. I think there's a lot of pressure put on certain governors that should be further along. They should be further along than they are, and they should not be doing what they're doing. So we'll see what happens. But the country is going to be in a very good place, very good place. And we have a lot of ammunition left. You know what that means. There's a lot of ammunition left in the country in terms of the Fed and the Treasury and all the people that are working on it. We have a lot of ammunition left, unlimited ammunition if we need it, but we won't need it.
Mr. President,
okay?
Are you prioritizing the reopening of churches over other establishments?
No,
and
not at
what
all.
makes
But I think
churches
churches, to me, they're so important in terms of the psyche of our country. Beyond, I mean, to me, they use the word essential. I think churches are essential. It's so important. People want to be in their churches. It's wonderful to sit home and watch something on a laptop, but it can never be the same as being in a church and being with your friends. And they want to have it opened, and I think that's going to be happening very shortly, very, very shortly. So that'll be put out maybe tomorrow, maybe today. Okay?
Mr. President, you had said yesterday in a tweet that you might withdraw funding from Michigan. Later in the afternoon, you seemed to say that wasn't necessary. Is that threat still on the table, sir?
I didn't say it wasn't necessary. I said that I might have to do that. Yeah, we're not going to go to voting by mail. Voting by mail is wrought with fraud and abuse, and people don't get their ballots that happen to be in a certain district, whether it's Republican or Democrat. Thousands of ballots are sent out, but they don't happen to get them, so people are calling, where's my ballot? They call it a panic. Where is it? Where is it? The election's coming. And all of a sudden the election comes, it goes, and they say, hey, I never got a ballot, but wow, that didn't affect. But it did affect because thousands of people that happens to, you go and you vote. And ideally you vote with voter ID. And then you really have an election. But this country, you go out and you buy things and you have your picture on you want to vote. The most important thing you can do is vote, and they don't want to go voter ID. So ideally, that would be the ideal. There are many places that have that. Many places don't. But no, we don't want to have vote by mail. We want people to vote. Now, if you're president of the United States and if you vote in Florida and you can't be there, you should be able to send in a ballot. If you're not well, you're feeling terrible, you're sick, you have a reasonable excuse, just a reasonable excuse, you should be able to vote by mail-in. You vote by mail-in. But when they send, in the case of Nevada, where they want to send out thousands and thousands of ballots, and then they're going to send them back. Who knows who signed the ballot? Is anybody standing there acknowledging, oh, that was Mr. Smith? That was Pastor Darrell Scott. That was Scott Turner. That was John James, the great John James, who better win, because you would be missing something, Michigan, if you don't vote for this guy. But, who are these people that are voting? They get it. It comes by mail, maybe. Maybe it doesn't come. A lot of the problem is they're not shipped to certain areas. If you have an all-Democrat area, now I have to tell you, the abuse tended to be on a certain side rather than another side. We won't get into that. And frankly, the Republicans won a very big event on Tuesday where we have a man named Mike Garcia as a congressman in a Democrat area. It was not expected to happen, and he won by a lot of votes. You know about that, John. That was a big decision. That was an incredible victory. First time in 22 years. 22. So something's happening. But that was a vote by mail. They mailed it in, and actually the Democrats saw they were losing, and all of a sudden they threw voter booths up in certain Democrat areas. I wouldn't say that was so good, right? But it didn't have much of an impact. So Mike Garcia won, and we won in Wisconsin. But we can't do that. To vote, to really vote, and without fraud, you have to go and you have to vote at the polling place. People have to check you in. Go ahead, John.
So can you just clarify, sir, what federal funding you're considering removing from Michigan?
Oh, I'm not going to discuss that. There are so many forms of funding, and we're not going to discuss that. What we want is good, straight, honest voting. Okay? Honest voting. And by the way, if that could be honest, which obviously it can't be, you get a ballot, you're sitting in your bedroom signing it. Who knows who's signing it? Who knows that it ever gets to your house? Who knows that they don't pirate? They pirate these applications. They print new voting forms, and then they send them around. People sign them, or one person signs them with different pens and a different signature every time. It's obviously there's going to be fraud. We're not babies. There's tremendous fraud. You have all of the harvesting. You have all of the things. They walk in at the end of a race. We had a lot of them in California. They walk in, Ben, at the end of a race, and they dump thousands. You think the race is over. You think somebody won, and then all of a sudden, out of blue, come thousands of votes at the very end. Oh, what happened? Harvesting. Wonderful thing, harvesting. They just happened to find thousands of ballots just at the end. So somebody that thought he or she was going to win the race all of a sudden gets clipped. We can't have that. John, go ahead.
Mr. President, in the midst of this coronavirus crisis, the Chinese government is considering a new national security law that would give it the authority to clamp down to a greater degree on Hong Kong. Do you have a message for the Chinese government about changing the relationship with Hong Kong?
Well, we'll have to see what happens. I haven't seen it yet. I've gotten a little briefing, but I'll have a statement to make at the appropriate time. Okay? Hong Kong's been through a lot.
Mr. President, we've seen this historic flooding. We've seen this historic flooding here in Michigan, and we have seen forecasts that we could see a really severe hurricane season. Is FEMA and the federal government prepared to meet the needs of some of these potential disasters?
You're saying FEMA and the federal government? Yeah, they're here right now. FEMA's here right now. They did a fantastic job on the coronavirus, a fantastic job in Michigan. They did a fantastic job everywhere, frankly. You know, you have ventilators. You're going to see them now because this is one of the plants where we make thousands of ventilators. But FEMA was involved, and we also have you know that the Army Corps of Engineers at the highest level is right now in Michigan working on the fact that you had some dams breaking that shouldn't have broken, and they were probably maybe not maintained properly. Something happened to them. Could have been human error from what I understand, but it was certainly a physical error too. They were old. But you have the best in the world to fix them and to get that water stopped. And we have FEMA here, and we have the Army Corps of Engineers here. They'll be able to take care of it. Let's go take a tour, and you're all invited to join me if you want. And we'll take a look at a... Thank you very much.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us here at Golden State Times. President Trump in Michigan. He was meeting with African American leaders and religious leaders right before he head to the plant that is making ventilators in the Ford plant that is making ventilators in Michigan. If you guys missed the president's speech in Michigan at the Ford plant, it should be coming up on your screen. It's also going to be pinned to the top of the comments. Make sure you go and check it out, and you also click the thumbs up button and share that video along with this video. Thank you so much for choosing Golden State Times as your stream of choice. We hope to see you guys here very soon. But if you want to get notified for our future live streams, you want to get notified 100% of the time, then all you have to do is send us a text message with the word Trump Live to the number 555-888, and we'll send you a notification when we go live tomorrow. Thank you so much, folks. Subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll see you soon.